The non-American mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, continues to alienate Americans. Unsurprising. We have an interesting story today from the New York Post that says the following, quote, New Yorkers fume as Mamdani breaks Ramadan fast with Rikers inmates, but cannot be bothered to visit injured cops. We shouldn't be surprised by this. The vast majority of individuals who voted for Zohran Mamdani were not just leftists. That's kind of a given these days, of course, in New York City, but unfortunately were non-Americans. And one of the things that you'll see with these radicals that end up becoming elected is that they prioritize individuals in society that shouldn't be prioritized. Criminals, illegal migrants, things along that nature. We see with the story, quote, New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani is facing serious backlash, or furious backlash, I should rather say, after breaking his Ramadan fast with Muslim jailbirds on notorious Rikers Island and describing it as one of his, quote, most meaningful events, end quote, since taking office. Quote, it was a night that will stay with me for quite some time, end quote. The city's first Muslim mayor gushed Friday on X about under the radar and historic visit on Monday, which by Saturday sparked a firestorm of outrage. What's interesting to me, of course, in this particular photo that you see of Zohran Mamdani is the fact that when it comes to non-Christian religions, the leftist principle of separation of church and state, which means that, in effect, all Christians need to shut up and not have anything to do with the public square. That principle, of course, is ruled out when it comes to the Muslim faith. Islam, of course, can have all the influence it wants upon society because it's a religion, of course, in American context anyway, that's mostly celebrated and practiced by minorities and by, quote, disprivileged peoples. The reality of the situation, my friends, is that when it comes to the heart of America's spiritual war, there is only going to be one victor. America was founded to be a Christian nation. And unfortunately, we've gone super far away from that when it comes to who we elect, the policy that we propose, the policy of even both parties at times. And this is how you see Zohran Mamdani end up getting elected. We, of course, see the judgment of God fall upon America in the form of allowing our great cities to be taken over by foreigners. Continuing, the article says, quote, he actually visited inmates on Rikers, but hasn't visited any victims of the heinous crimes some of these guys have committed, says New York PD veteran of 20 years. I think it's absolutely disgusting. We clearly know that he doesn't like us. He's already made his stance clear on that. Even after we get clear video evidence of the guy trying to knife the police officers in Queens, he visited the criminal's family in that case too, raged the police veteran. I'm not surprised by this. One of the realities that we have to remember in our fight against Marxism in our society is the principle of the Marxist dialectic. It's essentially a principle that asserts that when groups that are oppressed, so you can think of in Marx's day, the poorer class as being quote unquote oppressed by the richer, oppressed class, the only way for them to have their marginalized voices heard is to trample upon or engage in revolution against those who are in power. When we apply this to any society, we can see in the context of racial dynamics, of course, white people have to have their voices stuffed down, so the raising of minority voices can take place. And in the context of the criminal versus police, we would rather prioritize the rights of criminals over the rights and well-being of police officers. Fundamental question, why has the left been anti-police for a good decade now? That's a fundamental question that needs to be addressed. And we don't want to hear such nonsensical terms or nonsensical slogans such as police brutality or systematic oppression of minorities, etc. That doesn't work. The reality of the situation is that the left wants criminals to run rampant because then it will force the population to vote for more government overreach. They ultimately want the breaking down of Western society as opposed to supporting our good men and women in blue. The article finishes up with, quote, he can go visit the inmates at Rikers, but he can't go visit a cop who gets injured. That's not right, said another law enforcement source referring to cops hurt earlier this month responding to an ISIS-inspired attempted terrorist attack outside the mayor's home. Quote, I think next year there'll be nobody to visit because he's going to let everybody out of jail. Maybe he was going to tell them they were reducing everybody's sentences, the sources said. The visit was one of the 17 iftar, or breaking of the fast dinners that the mayor attended across New York City through Thursday. And this is the first time a New York City mayor has celebrated Ramadan at Rikers. Quote, people sharing what little they have, breaking bread, offering prayer, making space for one another's dignity, even in the hardest places, MAMDANI wrote on X, posting photos alongside Department Correction Commissioner Stanley Richards, glad handing with dozens of detainees as they globbled package meals. So why is it that MAMDANI, who is being protected by the police, of course he has his own private security, of course, is prioritizing the sensibilities of Muslim migrant criminals? I think we know because MAMDANI himself is a Muslim. MAMDANI himself, of course, is a commie, and the priorities of the Marxist dialectic and, of course, his own religion are going to trample over that of any semblance of American nationalism or American Christianity or anything along that nature. It's quite sad. But what can New York do? Well, this is the reality. New York City, I think, ultimately, the only way for it to go forward is for it to suffer in some form or fashion. Suffer economically, and of course, I don't want this to take place. I don't want New York to suffer, but that is probably what is going to raise it out of its stupor, if you will. The only way for it to get a grip with itself is to recognize that by putting communists in office, by putting Muslims in office, the fundamental building blocks, if you will, of this nation start to crumble. The reality of the situation is this. While Americans are guaranteed the freedom of religion, we have to use our thinking cap and recognize that there are some religions which are against American values. Islam is the clearest example of a system of thought which is against America's values. Now, it might be controversial to say, but that is in case the truth. And so we have to get a grip and recognize that if we're going to allow millions and millions and millions of people into our country from Muslim lands like Europe has been doing, then we should expect the problems that Europe ends up having. More crime, more, let's just say, sexual assaults upon women and girls, things along that nature. Until we actually get a grip and say, what is an American and what are we fighting for, nothing is going to solve itself. It's all going to be for naught. Make sure and subscribe, my friends, to the channel, like, and let me know your thoughts in the description box below. God bless and take care.